I am here today with my friend, my client, my mentee, Alan Quigley, and it is a great pleasure to be sitting here in Sofia. We have set up the podcast studio so that Alan can share a little bit of his journey and some of the lessons and the insights that he's had. His journey has been nothing short of incredible. So I'm really excited to have this chat, sir, and you are very welcome to Sofia and to the podcast studio.
Thanks, man. Delighted to be here. It's good to finally meet you in person. It's a lot different doing the podcast in person to the Instagram live as well. So been excited for it, looking forward to it. And I tell you, man, the penthouse, Instagram doesn't do it justice. It's a lot bigger in person when you get in. So it's a really cool space, and just looking forward to having a chat and sharing some insights with my own audience as well.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And so I told you already, we've kind of used this space for multiple things, and it's great to have it. And there's been all sorts of different kind of events, but it's really good to have it and to be able to sit down and have this chat. And yeah, to meet up in person, and we had our first gym session the other day, which was amazing as well. And great after so long communicating over, WhatsApp and Zoom calls and trainer eyes, and to actually then go and have a gym session in person and smash it out. It was really enjoyable.
It was pretty cool. You're a strong boy as well. Moving those 37.5 kgs pretty well too. So it was, it was great to train, because you've been my coach for probably, it must be 8 or 9 months now. Mm-hmm. So chatting to you quite regularly, obviously getting in the best shape of my life working with you, and then now moving into the mentorship capacity and seeing the results there. So it was nice to just finally train with you and meet up in person too. So yeah, very good experience so far.
We have legs this evening, so that should be an interesting experience. But it's a good place to start. I guess it would be great to hear a little bit of an intro to that story and to share with your audience and mine and anyone who's looking in and listening to this podcast, because it's been an incredible journey and things have really happened fast. So a little bit of an overview of that would be quite a good place to start, I think. And sup my tea.
So I suppose if we go way back, I probably started training on and off when I was 13, 14 or 15. I remember getting a set of those weights, the ones with the adjustable arms, and you have to spin them off. So it takes you about 5 or 10 minutes to adjust one dumbbell.
Good rest times.
Yeah, good rest times. Yeah, you're talking 5 or 6 minutes there. But I remember doing my first set of dumbbell presses lying on my bed because I didn't want to make any noise in the house. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I was just I'll just pump out high reps here and see how it goes. And it didn't go too well. I didn't see much progress doing that. So it's kind of on and off doing that sort of thing. And then joined the gym, I would say, for the first time properly doing weights was probably in college. I had an interest in going to the gym, but at that time the limiting factor was actually my own self-confidence and self-belief. I really wanted to go and I was excited to train, but it was the gym anxiety and getting in there and being a newbie and not quite understanding what to do. And I was looking up all these programs. I think bodybuilding.com was the big resource at the
OG.
time. The OG. So I was looking up all these 4-day programs and 3-day programs, and chopping and changing between them, and kind of slowly building things up and learning. But I always had that little bit of gym anxiety. And then I think when I went to college, then I was doing the masters. I started a program there. I was training with my housemate at the time, so made some relatively okay gains, nothing crazy, nothing too visual, but I was getting stronger, so that was pretty cool. So that was my first taste into sticking to a program. This is what happens if I stick to a program consistently and progress. And remember moving it was only 17.5 kg or 15 kg dumbbells at the time, but I was absolutely buzzing. I couldn't believe it. And then I hit 20 for the first time. So it was kind of seeing the benefit of training consistently. And then like I was just very new to the whole diet thing. Like I was super skinny when I was younger, and like a lot of that was because I played a lot of squash competitively. So I was playing, 6-7 days a week, had no idea about calories in, calories out. So I was probably burning a couple of 100 calories at the squash, and just not eating it back or not understanding it at the time. And like when I was doing the masters and doing that training, I remember I was having like 3 scoops of optimum nutrition mass gainer a day, and then taking like 2 scoops of pre-workout before the gym. So like I'd have the pre-workout, be buzzing in the gym, I'd come home and then I'd just crash for like 3 hours after a big feed of like optimum nutrition mass gainer. So it was really like haphazard training. There was a bit of a program there, but like I wasn't really sticking to it. Like I was having pints, I was enjoying myself. Like I was only 20, 21 at the time, so I was still living the college lifestyle, the party lifestyle. So you might go through college, you're lucky to get 2 weeks without the beer.
Yeah.
But like
2 days.
Like 2 days, but really when I went and was doing the masters, we did lock in on studying, and I was in a different environment. So I was in college in Galway previously, and then in Athlone there was nobody really around us but myself and the housemate. So I was really able to get locked in to training there, and I was starting to see like a glimmer of, okay, if you just stick to this consistently without the alcohol, this is what can happen. And then I kind of finished the masters and went back to the old habits, but it was like a little glimpse. So like throughout the years, I was just slowly building up my knowledge. And then after the masters, the whole online thing blew up with like content creators, RP strength. Like you just had so much extra resources on training, and then like I just dived into them and like got absolutely stuck in, and was kind of realizing my last couple of years of training were a bit shy, to be honest. They were a bit all over the shop. And then I was training quite consistently like for the last, I would say, 3 years. But again, it was the old Friday night, Saturday night takeaways, going on the pints, and maybe going this time 3 weeks without drinking or 4 weeks without drinking, but then seeing the progress stall again after that. So I got to a stage where I'd built up like a hell of a lot of knowledge. And actually, before that, I was up in a strength gym in Dublin. So it was all squat, bench, deadlift, kind of more powerlifting movements. But like the coach up there was unbelievable. Like he had just like so much years of knowledge, a really nice guy. So I just learned so much about nutrition, body composition, training, how to train for strength, how to train for hypertrophy. And that kind of period of my life, it actually gave me a lot more confidence going into the gym as well, because it was a group setting. There was 5 to 8 of you in the class. So it was a bit more casual, a bit more friendly. You're not as intimidated going in and seeing all the big gym bros in the gym, feeling like they're judging you and looking at you. And like when I came out of that, I actually took like about 9 months off training. I just really fell off the wagon with it, and it was when I moved from Sligo to Dublin. And then I got back into it slowly, and like I came to yourself at that point. I was training really consistently. I was using like the RP strength app. Some people watching might be familiar with it, but I really got into tracking my workouts, tracking my progress, tracking the weight. Knew all about the nutrition, or knew quite a lot about the nutrition, because I'd never say I know everything, but I was just like, I've been doing this for like 5-6 years, and you see like photos of people that have been doing it for 5 or 6 years, and like they're a lot more shredded than I am. I need to do something about this. And then just going to yourself and just having the accountability and like the little tidbits of information you'd pass on in the weekly check-ins, or if I'd something coming up like, oh, I've got going out for dinner on Saturday, or I've got a half marathon coming up at the weekend, what do you recommend? And that just kept me on the straight and narrow. And then through that process, I'd given up the alcohol for the guts of 2 years, and it was just like a veil was lifted. It was like regular training, no alcohol, eating healthy, and I just realized I'd been probably operating at like a 4 or 5 out of 10 energy level for like the last decade.
Yeah.
And then it just like made me feel so good, gave me so much self-confidence, self-belief. And I decided it's made me feel this good. I'd love if I could pass that on to other people. Because I used to always think, I remember like some of the lads that are close friends used to always say, I always said I wanted to help people because I was in an accountancy role before. So it wasn't very fulfilling in helping people. Corporate job, you're doing the accounts, you know. Obviously there's a sense of satisfaction from doing the accounts and doing your job well and getting it over the line, but I kind of wanted something more tangible where you're impacting someone's life in a better way. So then it was like the fitness made such an impact for me. I was so passionate about it anyway. I was doing it in my spare time. I was watching videos, consuming content. It just seemed like a no-brainer to take that passion and almost what feels like a purpose now, and then help other people and bring them along the journey that I had gone on, and change people's lives if possible. Like
there's so much in that. I think one thing that's actually probably relevant is the alcohol, because I had that same experience. It's been an incredible journey, by the way, and I had a very similar experience where for a decade I was operating at 2, 3, 4 out of 10. Maybe I'm being generous there. Maybe it was lower. Just a lot of partying, a lot of alcohol, and not really having a clear sense of purpose or direction, and not really having a plan. And I think that was pulling back from the alcohol and the party, and really just, like you said, lifted a veil, like opened up a whole new avenue of life. And I still have, I've quite a moderated is probably, over the top. I rarely drink these days. I have my kind of spells here and there, but it's quite a rare occurrence these days, and my life has just got infinitely better by pulling back on that as well. And I think it's probably interesting to discuss that a little bit as well, because I know that especially in Ireland, and you mentioned it there, like you're lucky to get through college with 2 weeks off the beat. Never mind, I think just growing up in Ireland, there is a very strong alcohol culture. And it's very normalized. Like when I moved to Spain, or even here in Sofia, I spent time in Spain and Sofia and quite a few other places, but the relationship with alcohol is very different. In Spain, they love alcohol as well, but it's not like binge drinking, getting messy drunk. It's more so a couple of glasses of wine with food, some beers with friends. It's a lot more kind of social, and it seems to be less destructive. And then here I guess there's certain parts of the culture in the country, they like their alcohol too, but at least for the people that I hang out with, it's not a big part of their life. It's, they often go out without alcohol, or I think in Ireland a lot of stuff just revolves around the drink,
Absolutely. And I think with the alcohol, for me anyway, I can't speak to anyone else, but it was definitely, you hear it mentioned all the time, it's a crutch. And even as I touched on, like the gym anxiety, it was kind of something I struggled with anyways outside of the gym, just not really knowing who I am or like what path I was on, and you're just not really sure what you're doing. So like having 2 or 3 drinks, it just made me feel a lot more comfortable and confident, and that's definitely the case for a lot of people. And even like simple things like going out for a meal and having like 4 pints with the meal was just like standard, and you'd wake up the next day thinking you feel fresh, but it's more just I had such a tolerance to alcohol that like
that was the norm. The norm was 4 out of 10.
Like if I had 4 pints now, if we went out for a meal tonight and I had 4 pints, I'd be rolled off for like the first 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, me too.
I'd need a lot of caffeine like to get going, and I still wouldn't feel good. I'd be all jittery and just not feeling great. And then I think definitely for myself, the training just went up another level when I like cut out the alcohol, and like that was kind of a decision where I was like just one too many hangovers, and I woke up after was it a stag? I think it was a stag or a birthday, and like I couldn't remember like 3 or 4 hours of the night, but like it was kind of becoming a common enough theme that I was just like not remembering bits and pieces of the night, and I was like, this just has to change. And it was also like my passion for the training was ramping up even more. So I was kind of getting to a stage, I was like, I love training so much and I love going to the gym. And now I'm looking at the strength diary, and last week's strength has just been wiped out again. And it's like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm just repeating the same cycle over and over again. So I was like quite extreme in my approach. It wasn't like, I'm going to cut back to 2 drinks a week. It was like, well, clearly, like, I'm not going to have 2 drinks a week, because when I go out, I'm having like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just going to like stop it all together, lock in on the gym and see what can I achieve. And then like it just exploded, the results. Even like how I was feeling, sleep, cardio, vascular fitness just went up through the roof. And like then I started slowly reintroducing it for like, maybe you go out for a meal and you have 1 or 2, and maybe you go to a wedding or a stag, have a couple at a wedding, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have a couple at a wedding. I'll be a little bit hungover, but I know that this is planned and it's something that's coming up. So it wasn't like, I didn't have that guilty feeling that I used to back in the day, where I was like, I'll go out, say I'll have 2 drinks, have like 6 or 8 pints, and then not train the next day. So it was nice to kind of get that relationship with alcohol back. But still now, if I could, I definitely could see myself in the next 2 or 3 years just giving it up altogether.
Yeah.
Because even like when I go to a planned event like that, you still feel a little bit sluggish on a Monday or a Tuesday. And I just love the feeling of like performing well, feeling good, improving. And it's kind of come to a stage where increasing my performance, getting stronger in the gym, like hitting all those milestones that I want to achieve in fitness has just become a much bigger priority than having a few drinks. So I think like for me, what helped like change that relationship with alcohol was finding something that I valued more than the alcohol. Yeah. So that was a big one. That was definitely a big one.
That was exactly the same for me. Like they such a similar story in parallels. I was also kind of getting into the gym initially, and I had a very close friend. We were chatting about this the other day, actually off camera yesterday, I think. Very close friend who I live with, and incredible guy, really into the gym, really into natural bodybuilding. Like, he'd been in the gym for years. He taught me so much, like just in terms of working out. He introduced me to RP Strength, Eric Helms, all of these guys, incredible guys. Shout out Mike if you're listening. But we were training a lot, and I had this weird kind of almost like not a double life, but it felt a little bit where half of the week I'm like fully locked in. I'm learning about protein, nutrition, I'm training. And then the other half of the week I'm like out partying, drinking, getting hungover, like smoking cigarettes. I'm like, hang on a second. I'm trying to go this way and I have this other thing that's pulling me this way. And it just slowly but surely started to become, instead of being out 3 nights and in the gym a couple of days, I was now in the gym 3 or 4 days and out 1 or 2 nights, and then the gym 4 or 5 days, out once a week, then in the gym all the time, out once every couple of weeks, then out once a month. And then eventually it was just like, I think I did like my first big commitment to no alcohol and no partying was like 6 months. And it was just incredible, the progress that I made. I was first time following a split. It was Jeff Nippard's power building split, one of the first ever splits that I actually did and followed. And I know that's something we'll probably talk more about, the importance of just sticking to something. And I saw so much progress. I remember I think I like shoulder pressed the 15 or the 18 kilo dumbbells. And similar to that, I was like, wow, I'm a beast, and I look at that now and remember that fondly. But I think, the whole, at least for me, and for a lot of people I know and I've worked with, the having something to lose and having something that's more important and more interesting just makes it a lot easier. At least in my case, I can't imagine I would have been able to just give up alcohol and partying and not have something else, and just be like, right, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I think the gym is just such a, and not only going to the gym, because a lot of people go to the gym, but they still, you know, do what we did, where they're kind of doing this kind of double thing where they're going to the gym to do a bit, and it maybe makes them feel good in the moment, but when they reflect on the last 5 or 10 years, they're like, I've gone to the gym a lot and nothing has really changed.
Yeah.
So I think that when you start taking that seriously, you start looking at progression, you start looking at, actually, do you know what? I'm going to say no to this because it doesn't serve me. And I'm actually going to prioritize myself and prioritize this thing that's important to me. And then you see it working and you're like, well, what else is possible? And here we are, not sure how many months later exactly, but in December, we're recording this on, I think, the 18th of February. And beginning of December, we had a chat about you wanting to get into the online coaching space and having already signed up for your PT cert, going through that process, and you're now sitting here with 10 clients, and we spent the last couple of days building out your processes, getting very clear on how to best serve your clients, how to get them great results, how to make sure check-in processes are optimized, like how to deliver a really, really great service and deliver all the knowledge and the insight and the value that you have. And it's incredible how quick things can change, right?
It's pretty crazy. And like, even we were chatting, I think it was pre-Christmas, and I was like telling you I was thinking of doing the PT cert, but maybe I'll do a part-time as well. So there was still a little bit of like, oh, do I really want to do this? And it's like so many parallels to my own fitness journey, where I was like, I really like the gym, but I like partying too.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I had that too.
Like don't get me wrong, like it was some of the best times ever, and like,
yeah, for sure, some
pint
great
of
crack.
Guinness, like it was so nice, some great crack. But it was like, when you're making that change, it's like an identity shift, and like your values are being rewired, like the things you believed in, now all of a sudden you don't believe in anymore. So what age was like 27, 28, like that's quite a hard thing for anyone to go through, to like make a shift like that. And there's always like self-doubt, and you're not sure, is it going to work out? But I think switching from my old accountancy career into the PT, I was able to draw on like my fitness journey over the last couple of months, and it was just really what I said to myself is like, look what you've achieved here in 7 months, being all in, locked in. Like, I think with yourself, I didn't miss a single check-in.
No, not one.
Trying to think, the only time I missed a workout was if I had a half marathon at the weekend. So we take out the leg
It was
session.
a strategic decision. It wasn't a missed workout.
We take out a half marathon. So that was like, and it also gave me a bit of like self-belief that like, if I focus on something completely intensely, what's possible to achieve. So I seen it with the fitness. So I was like, if I can achieve it with the physique, then the gears started going in my head. I was like, why could I not do it in business? Or why could I not follow my passion for fitness and make a living out of that? And then we had a call before Christmas and signed up for the PT cert. I think it was around November. PT cert was starting in January, and my contract in my last job was finishing in December. So it was kind of a really nice way that things worked out. But I was telling you, I'd gone for another interview for another job with the intention of doing this part-time on the side. And that was, when I think of it now, it was definitely almost like a subconscious thing that like, I still have one foot in the accountancy. So if the fitness doesn't work out, well, at least I can just maybe blame it on the job. I didn't have the time for it or whatever. But I actually didn't get that job, and I was so delighted when I got the phone call to say I didn't get the job, which is like the complete opposite reaction most people will go through of not getting a job. But then that was just like, right, that's it. That's a sign.
Yeah.
I'm going to go all in. And like, it's been mad. And like, I'm only doing it, what?
It's probably not even 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. 3 months or so, 10 clients on board. And like, I think for myself, looking back at it, the biggest thing was just going for it.
Yeah.
Going all in, and like taking that action to be like, I know I've got myself in shape. I'm doing the PT course. I've so much knowledge from years of consuming content online, and it was almost just having that belief to just take the first step. And like, I remember doing my first sales call and I was kind of tripping over my words a little bit, and like, I'm not from a sales background either,
Sure.
so it was completely new, and just getting the first client was like a real kind of wave of emotion that like, okay, this is definitely something I could do. And then I think I got 4 or 5 clients quite quickly. Like,
yeah, in the space of 2 weeks, I think just
Yeah.
around Christmas time
Yeah.
there was 4 or 5
Yeah.
clients came on board.
It was really quick, and then steadily just adding clients as we've gone through the weeks. So like, I'm up to 10 now, and it's just any self-doubt I had is just gone. It's just like, this is something possible. I'm all in, and it's been very nice to be able to go in on it full time. And it's like, almost like, right, this is what I'm doing now. I don't have a backup plan. I'm going for it and see what happens. And yeah, it's been some experience. And even like, I was thinking back last night as I was going to sleep, like I was telling you, I couldn't really sleep last night because it like so much flying around in my
after
head.
the day of 2
Yeah.
days of work and brainstorming and building.
We had a serious day of it, but I was just kind of thinking myself, like, I'd say 2 years ago, there's no way I would have came over here and done this. And like, that was more just my own internal feelings of like, it's not going to work out, not having the self-belief, not being comfortable in myself to do it. And I think just that step of getting in shape has just kind of changed the mindset completely. And like, I'm a big believer in now, the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. So I was like, why not just go all in at the fitness? Right, you might muddle through your first couple of sales calls, but like, you have to do the sales calls at some point. I could do the PT cert, take a few months part-time, and in a year's time, I might only have the 10 clients by that stage because I didn't give it my all. So it's been pretty cool, man. And even just like meeting someone like yourself who's been there, done that, trying to like get everything out of you, extract as much knowledge as I can. Like, it's really cool, and it's just like opened my eyes. Even that coffee we went for yesterday with a lad who owns his own video agency, it was just like kind of opening my eyes to what's possible. Very much like when I started training consistently and like got the energy back, it's just like, oh, okay,
hang on a second.
So much, there's so much more possible. So yeah, man, it's been great. And I think the main thing, the most important thing to me as well, is what I was thinking last night. Like, this is like a fantastic experience and all that, and learning so much. And the most important thing for me when I go home is to not get too sidetracked about, you know, the shiny object, getting like cool Instagram posts up. The most important thing is like giving those current clients who put their faith in me at the start the best service possible from like what we've implemented here, and then going forward, any new clients that come on board, just having even better processes for getting them on and getting them results. So like, I do have like always one eye on the future and like what is possible, but it's like really giving those clients a great service. It's like, why did I get in to coaching in the first place? It was to try and help people get them results. Obviously this experience is one of the benefits of the online coaching, and you can go travel and that, but it's like really just trying to stay grounded about like, why did I start coaching? And it's to get people results and get them in a position that they maybe can go on and do something that they didn't have the self-confidence or the self-belief, or maybe it's just getting to the gym and they're happy to do that.
Yeah, man, I love that, and so much value in there as well. And I can attest to just that mindset and that way of looking at your business and your clients. Like, you're really there to give them a quality service, and you're an incredible coach as well, because you're coming from just such a background of knowledge, insight, like learning through doing as well. Like, you can do a PT cert and a course, and it's great. It gives you the piece of paper and it gives you what you need, but you can't beat experience, and you have a lot of experience as well. And then obviously You're very good with people. It's incredible, by the way, that this is your first podcast
Yeah.
and you're sitting there like you've done 200. Like, you're such a good communicator and you're so good with people, and we've built such a great relationship, and it's been a real pleasure to go from like client to mentee and friend as well in that space of time. Like, we've really enjoyed our time together here as much as our time working together. One thing that I notice is just a recurring theme for you, and I see it as being, it's kind of like the make or break a lot of the time with people who get into the coaching space and online business, and it's just the commitment element. And I guess there's probably a few definitions, but one definition of commitment that I love, I think it's from Hormozy. Just always quote Hormozy. He's so good, isn't he?
Hard not to.
Shout out Hormozy. But I think it's his definition is commitment is elimination of alternatives. And it's like, you're not truly committed until you're like, okay, this is it. The blinders are on. I'm not going to get pulled aside. And it's definitely hard to do that sometimes, you know, and I totally understand why, you know, you would kind of have one foot in the accountancy role. But I think one thing that's important for people to know and understand as well, on a fitness journey, on a business journey, whatever journey they're going on, you can always go back. Like, even when you fully commit to something, as a capable individual, there's always, removing plan B doesn't mean that you can't come up with a plan B, you know, but I think to actually have like the level of success that you've had both in fitness and business in, you know, 12 months essentially between the two, you have to just have one goal. And you said it as well, like about the seasons of, this is the thing I'm working towards. Everything else for now is just not a priority, and just commitment. And you will always have options. There's always options. But I think that commitment piece, and I've heard it from you in business, I've heard it from you in fitness. You did it obviously with the alcohol, giving it up for 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
2 years.
2 years.
So commitment is just, it's a recurring theme that I see in people like you who are successful. And I think it's probably commitment and resilience, because no doubt on all of those separate threads of the journey, there was periods of time that were difficult, and there was periods of time where you were tested.
Yeah.
And I think commitment and resilience, if you've got those, you just go so far in anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the commitment piece, sometimes, nearly all the time actually, to be honest, the initial commitment doesn't pay off quickly. Like, I was sending out that offer document for my initial group of coaching, and you're not hearing back. You're sending it to like 200-300 people, and like some people just aren't getting back to you at all. But it was like, if I commit to this, I've spoke to you on it, you're like, this is part of the process, this works, I've done it before. If you stay consistent, it'll work out. And then, like you said, all of a sudden, you've like, bang, 5 clients in a week. But then from the outside looking in, someone would be like, oh, he's just got 5 clients there in a week, it must be easy. But I'd sent like 200 or 300 DMs. I was like sending voice notes to people that hadn't spoke to in ages. And even like for myself, that was a whole shift to do that, because like in the accountancy role, there wasn't too much presenting, there wasn't like, you're communicating to people on a daily basis, but to have the, I guess, just maybe the balls is the term for it, to just like put yourself out there and send people voice notes and be willing to face the rejection of like, someone's not going to get back to you, or someone might get back to you on that sign up. But for me, the way I was thinking, if I do this, what I need to do every day, it has to work out.
Yeah.
And even like you were talking about, like not having the alternatives, even like you can go back to the accountancy career. So like what I did as a thought process before I got into the coaching, I was like, okay, what happens if this doesn't work out? Yeah. And like, let's work it through. And I was like, okay, I've saved up some money. I have a bit of a fund to get me going, which is great. So it means I could do a couple of months with the thing not building as quick as I like. And then if it does fall flat in its face, what's the end outcome going to be? I'll get another accountancy job and I'll be back in the same position I was before. So like I went through that process and I was like, if it doesn't work out, I'll just be where I am now.
Yeah, it's really nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, maybe a little bit of time, but you probably learn so much in that time, and you build one thing actually probably the thing I love most, by the way, about the whole online business journey is I've had to deal with so much shit over the last 6 years, like mostly my own shit, that inner voice, the lack of belief, I've actually had to seriously self-develop on this journey. I think like taking on something like that, taking on a big challenge and a goal that's like so far out of your comfort zone, because it is far out of your comfort zone, especially coming from no background in like, you know, dealing with people in that way, or like no background in fitness, in working in fitness. It's a big risk, or perceived risk. Like you said, it's not really a risk at all, but it's perceived as a big risk, and it's a big jump out of the comfort zone. But like you said, 2 years ago, you probably wouldn't have come out here. It's kind of mad that, you know, you're out here in Sofia, halfway across Europe, building a business for me. But I'm like, listen, if you are willing to put in the work, and I see this as being a good fit for you, because I don't offer this to everyone. Like, there's only a select few of my clients who I actually think are ready to get the value and to actually implement. So for you to come out here, it's like, it's mad, but you probably built up so many characteristics, so much resilience, so much self-belief. Your ability to just persist through any challenges and difficulties is only enhanced. So even if you went through a year period where you left accountancy, you tried the online business, it didn't work, you're also not back at zero. You're back at the old role with all of these character traits, all of this experience, and you're probably going, even if it didn't work, what's the next step here?
Yeah.
Right? I'm looking for the next step. Like, you're going to be in the mindset of, okay, I've seen what's possible. Even like you mentioned, meeting with Yvonne the other day for coffee and just seeing other business owners who've been in the business for a longer period of time, highly successful people, and it just opens your eyes, and you can't unsee it. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, you know? So
it's pretty crazy. Like, it's like the Matrix. You're just like, Jesus. And I think I was saying to you yesterday, you can see that it's possible because it's all over your Instagram, and like everybody's doing it, and it is a possible path. But I was saying to you yesterday, it just didn't seem that achievable. Maybe you don't have a relationship with these people, but then when I started working with yourself and then getting to know you, and you were telling me about your journey, like as we were going through the coaching process, and maybe it's a bit of like, this guy had a very similar lifestyle to me, and look what he's achieved. So it's absolutely possible for me to achieve it as well. So I think that was a big thing in it. And then there was also a lot of forward looking as well, in that, like, I was excited about the fitness and like, what's the next 5 years going to look like in fitness? What's the next 10 years? And that mindset kind of permeated into the career. And I was like, right, what do I want to do work-wise for the next 5 years, the next 10 years? Do I really love the accountancy? Do I want to be 63, still sitting at the desk, working from home, doing spreadsheets and all that? And it just wasn't at all. And like, as I was saying to you there, when I was looking ahead and I was thinking, what happens if it doesn't work out? I also had some thoughts around what happens if I don't do it.
Yes,
And like, I was like, okay, if I don't do it, I'm going to go through my life having this itch, like feeling something inside me that I want to do something different, but never doing it. And like, the fear of that outweighed the fear of like taking the big risk, putting myself out there socially, posting on Instagram, like having to accept that some people are going to hate you, and getting over that, which was quite a hard thing because like, I'm quite an introverted person. Like, my Instagram, as you've seen, the first and only post was 2015 or maybe 2014 in San Diego, picture of a sea. And then I didn't post again until I started the
9 years later.
9 years later, like, yeah. And that was kind of just how I am as a person. Like, I have no trouble like chatting to people and building relationships, but I'm quite introverted and I do need that time alone.
Sure.
And even that aspect of social media and putting yourself out there, it was never something I wanted to do when I was younger. It was just part of me and part of my, I guess maybe part of my personality as well. I was kind of happier building real relationships with people offline and having a close group of people. That gave me more fulfillment, so I didn't want to seek the validation from social media. So even getting into that side of it has been like a major flip and something that's definitely been challenging. But I think I was saying to you, like when I posted the first post, I was kind of like, oh Jesus, a bit nervous, like what's going to happen here? You just don't know what to expect. And it's just that putting yourself out there and opening yourself up to criticism and vulnerability and failure, I guess. And really now it's like still there. Like I've only posted 11 times. It's only been a couple of weeks, but it's getting like a little bit easier. And it's funny, I've been able to reframe like how I think of social media now. It's like, this is for my business. So anything I post online, it's not for likes, it's not for validation. It's like got a purpose to help grow my business and attract more clients. And then hopefully, you know, there might be some people watching that have their own coach or have no interest in coaching, but maybe they get like a couple of tidbits of information or a little bit of knowledge from the post as well that could help them along their journey, you know.
Sure, and it's an inspiring journey too. Like I'm sure over time you'll start to see it, but people who have no interest in fitness coaching will also get a lot of value from your story. Just being like, here's a guy who went after the thing that he wanted, he took the risk, he faced the fear, he did it anyway, and that's a very inspirational story to follow. And I've had people, by the way, who followed me for years who just have no interest in my fitness, have no interest in my business, but they take a lot of value from just the stories and the insights and stuff as well. So yeah, man, you've been incredibly inspiring to work with, to me as well. It's like really honestly been inspiring and enjoyable, and I have nothing but faith in the fact that you are going to go on and crush it, and so much value just in this chat alone. And I can't wait to see more of you being out there, because you said you're introverted and you need your time alone. You'll probably need a fortnight alone after the week we've just put down. But you know, you've just handled yourself so well on, you know, our Instagram live, this podcast now, and I can't wait to see you kind of lean more into that, because you've really got the skill and you've got the charisma and you've got the personality and you've got the knowledge and a great service.
Thanks, man.
to
really
back it all up. So yeah, on that note, where should people go to find you if they're looking for a coach, or if they're just inspired by the journey and maybe want to take some knowledge from that, or they want to just get more insight into your world and what's going on? Where should they go?
Yeah, should I look into the camera and say?
You can look at the camera, absolutely.
So if you are looking to follow me, you can get me on Alan Quigley Coaching on Instagram, and there is going to be a highlight there for my newsletter as well. So in that newsletter, if coaching is something maybe you're not interested in, I'd love if you signed up to the newsletter. I'll be sharing like little fitness insights, some more personal insights from my own life, what's going on in my journey as well. So it'd be great if you could follow me there. And if you are interested in coaching, you can get me through a DM through Alan Quigley Coaching as well.
Alan Quigley,
thank
you very much, my man.
Much appreciated.